The part that really broke my heart was when Maria dies. Maria is Dom's wife, and he's been looking for her for years. Before Gears of War 1. For years he had been looking for her. She went missing like shortly after the Hammer of Dawn. They used the Hammer of Dawn. So before Sarah pretty much burned, she went missing. So it's been a long time since she had been missing. And Dom never gave up. He was looking for her for a long time, and he always had faith that he would find her. And when he finally finds her in Gears of War 2, she's in the hollow down below with the locust, and he finds her in one of those tubes with the locusts are putting people in there, and they're like torturing them and like doing a bunch of bad stuff to them. And he finds Maria in one of these. He opens it, and he sees Maria as she's always been, but it wasn't that she looked like that. She actually looked like a zombie, completely out of it. She was no longer Maria. She was out of it. And until Marcus, like, you could see Marcus's face, like, he's kind of, like, surprised or in shock. And he tells Dom, he's like, Dom! And Dom, like, snaps out of it, and he sees Maria as a zombie thing. And he's like, you could just, oh my god, it was so sad to see this side to Dom. He's always, like, happy-go-lucky Dom, you know, always, he was always, like, really positive about everything. And then this happens, and it just, he's crying, and he's just, like, he's holding her, and he's like, no, Maria, it's Dominic. And Maria's just, like, doesn't even know what's going on. She's gone. She's completely gone. Marcus, like, puts a hand on his shoulder, and he says, it's okay. And then he walks away. And Dom takes out his gun, and he pretty much, he has to put her out of her misery, because she's gone. She's not coming back. And Marcus is just walking away, and you could hear the gunshot. And, you know, that Dom killed her. That broke my heart. I was like, oh no. It was so sad. Especially because I love Dom. And it just, I really wanted him to find Maria. And when he does, he finds her like that. And, oh, it was just so sad for me. Especially to see him, like, breaking apart like that. And then it's even more sad if you've read the books. Because the game could only go so far. And Gears of War, the books just add to it, to the story. And in the books, it actually goes into what Dom is actually feeling. Like, it goes into what he's thinking afterwards, right after Gears of War 2. It goes into what he's thinking in the helicopter. It goes into how that moment will always haunt him for the rest of his life, for the rest of the Gears books, and for the rest of until Gears of War 3. It haunts him for the rest of his life, completely changes him, and you can kind of see that in Gears of War 3 with the way that he looks, and just he turns into this different Dom where he's just like, he doesn't really care anymore. And the books really express how Dom is pretty much just living for Marcus. After that, after Maria's death, his only reason to live is to keep Marcus alive. And because if Marcus wasn't there, he'd just wither away and die, Dom. He probably would have put a gun to his head already. It makes that moment even stronger. It's just like, oh, man. And then, of course, in Gears of War 3, Dom's death. Now, when Dom dies, but I think Maria's death was even more sad, at least for me, than Dom's death. Because Dom's death was very sad, but there was a lighter note to it. Because Dom was doing this to save his friends. Like, Dom was already gone. Like, he gave up a long time ago. And he was just in it to, you know, keep his friends alive. Pretty much Marcus alive. And when he saw the opportunity, he was like, this is it. I'm going out. You know, I'm going back with Maria. And he sacrifices himself for the good of his friends to keep his friends alive. So there's a little bit of a lighter note on that death. And on the Maria death, it's just completely negative. It was just really, really bad. Like, Dom has to freaking kill her. And she just looks so horrible, and it's just like, that was bad. Traumatizing for Dom, and then that moment was just like, oh, it was hard. So Dom's death, I think what really, really broke my heart with Dom's death was not that Dom died. Of course, I hated to see him go, but he was, worthy of that death. That he went out a hero, pretty much. What broke my heart was to see Marcus, the way that he was reacting. It was like, you could totally feel how it was breaking his heart, how he was like, he didn't want, he just screams, and then the song Mad World starts playing, and it's all going in slow motion, everything's blowing up, and Marcus is jumping off of that thing, and then he falls, and he's still trying to get into and there's like flames everywhere, and he's still trying to go through there to save Dom, and he's like tripping and falling, and Anya runs over to him and stops him, and he tells him he's gone, and he's just like, get up, man, and he's still trying to go over there. That broke my heart. Marcus, more than anything, and that moment was just like, because how much Marcus loved Dom. I mean, they were brothers. And if you've read the books, I keep on talking about the books because the books really make these scenes stronger, in my opinion. If you've read the books, you know exactly what they had gone through. You know how much they cared about each other. Marcus never had a family, really, except for the Santiagos. Dom's older brother, Carlos, was Marcus's best friend. He was his brother, his blood, almost. He was always there. They grew up with each other since they were kids. So Dom was always there, too, like the little brother, right? So Marcus grew up with both of them, but Carlos was his best friend. And when Carlos ended up dying, it was almost the same thing. Like, Carlos ends up dying, and Marcus is like screaming, and he's trying to run in there to help Carlos when Carlos is already dead. He's trying to run in there, and instead of Anya, it's Bernie. Bernie stops Marcus and tells him, no, you're gonna die in there. It's gonna be pointless. Bernie, she comes out in Gears of War 3, the older woman. Yeah, so it just kind of like goes back to that moment with Carlos, and it's kind of like he lost both of his brothers, and he couldn't do anything about it. That broke my heart. Next is the Nintendo one. This is for Harvest Moon. I think it was Harvest Moon 64. So I was kind of young, not like too young, but kind of young. And don't freaking laugh because this is not funny. It was so sad for me. And I say not to laugh, and that's the first thing I do. Okay, so in Harvest Moon, my chicken died. It was so sad. His name was Kentucky. This is what happened. Like, in Harvest Moon, you could take out your chickens. You could take them outside. Like, when it's nice outside, you could take them outside so that they could be happy and all that. And you build in that Harvest Moon, you could build a little fence around, and you put your chickens out there. So I leave them out there all day, and so it's night. And the problem with this game was that you would work, and you would do all this work, and the time would go really, really fast. So it would become night really fast. Faster than the other Harvest Moons after that. So I was like, damn it. And I was like trying to crop all my seeds. Like, I had bought seeds, and I had to like crop them, put them, bury them, and then like water them and stuff. And I ran out of like freaking stamina. So I pass out. And he's just like, pfft. And it was night already. It was like almost morning, and it's night, and I pass out. And if you pass out, you don't go to bed. Like, you just like you wake up the next morning. And sometimes you wake up in the hospital, but I think in this older one, you would just wake up in your house. And it was raining. It was raining, and my chickens were outside. And I was like, Oh my god. Because I didn't check the Weather Channel. You always have to check the Weather Channel so that you know if your animals should be outside or not. And I was like, oh my god. And I go out there and I'm like running to put my chickens inside the coop. So I'm like putting in there, and one of them is sick. Kentucky. He was sick. He had like this weird thing over here on the top of his head. Like a black thing. Because he was mad and felt sick. I was like, oh my god, he's sick. I have to go buy him some medicine. So I go to buy him medicine and the shop's closed. Because it's Monday. They closed on Mondays. And I was like, oh my god. And so I was like all worried because my chicken's sick. And I can't get him medicine. And then the next day comes around and it's a festival. And on festival days, they close the shops. So I couldn't buy my medicine again. And I was like, oh my god. I'm like all worried. So I can't buy it. I go to the freaking festival. I come back. And I'm just like, okay, dude, you know, I'll buy your medicine tomorrow. You know, just chill. Just be okay. And tomorrow you'll be fine. So I go to bed. I go to sleep. And I wake up and my chicken's dead. Kentucky died because of me. Because I couldn't get the freaking medicine. It was traumatizing. I was so sad. I was crying. I was crying, and I even went to my mom and I told her that my chicken died. And she was like... And then you like, it shows you like a little screen, or like a little cinematic where you're burying your damn chicken and there's like a little gravestone right there. And I was depressed that whole day. I just turned it off and I was just like so sad. And I was so mad that I wasn't able to buy him medicine. And I was like, I felt so guilty. I was like, hey, Kentucky died because of me. It's my fault. I felt so bad. I'm telling you. Shut up! Harvest Moon's a good game. It had to do with your mother, Hawk's mother, Leandra. Now, I really loved that they did this with Dragon Age 2, since the game spans a 10-year period, and you get to like develop your relationships with everybody, not only your friends and your romance, but also your family, your mom. And she's there with you the whole time. She's just standing there by the fireplace all the time in the actual, you know, house where you move into. And there's this mission that you go on regarding this guy that was like abducting women. And you're investigating this thing, and then all of a sudden one day you come home and your mom isn't there, and you're just like, where'd she go? I think it was Sendel's dad that tells you that she went out for a walk or something like that, and you're just like, she's not back, and it was like late already, and you find out that this guy that had been abducting these women abducts your mom, and you're just like, what? It took such a crazy turn where you're just like, wait, that one dude that I was looking into? And then you're just like, oh my god, this guy's a creep. He's a crazy guy. He's gonna kill her. So you go and look for him, and you're looking for your mom, and you're not finding her, and it's taking you a while, and you're just like, ugh. And when you finally do find her, she's like in a bad condition. This guy was taking these women, different parts of the women, to put like almost like a Frankenstein's wife together to like reanimate his lost wife, I think it was, or the love of his life or something. He wanted to make her again, I guess because she had died. I can't remember exactly, but he was like creating her again. And I believe Leandra was like, her looks, it was she was Leandra, like her face. So Leandra, your mom, and she's got like stitches all over. It was so disturbing. I was like, and she's your freaking mom, and you kill the guy, and you're holding your mom in your arms, and she's like dying already. And she tells you how much she loves you and how she's so proud of you, and I'm just like, oh my god. and Hawk is telling her, you know, you're gonna be okay. You know, don't worry, you're gonna be okay. I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna take you home and this and that. And she just dies. It wasn't just that. It wasn't just, oh my God, she died, and then you move on. No, there's like a cinematic. There's a scene where it comes afterwards, and Hawk's standing by the fireplace where she would always stand, and he's just like looking at the fire, and I'm just like, oh my God. They did such a good job about that. That moment, like they didn't just, oh, she died, you know, that's it. A lot of video games do that, where they just kill these people and then that's it. They're like, oh my God, it's so sad, and then they move on. But this actually like took its time. It did that moment justice. So it really, you know, it really tugged at your heartstrings. And after that, Hawk's like in his room, and I'm saying his because I was playing a male Hawk. He's sitting on his bed, and he's just like, you know, he's just staring into nothing. And your romance comes in, and in my case, it was Meryl. She like tries to comfort you. She sits by you, and she's just talking to you for a little bit, and then the scene ends. So it's like that was an emotional moment for me too, because they did a really good job about that moment.